Everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to understand the use of show logical structure. So now you might be thinking, what is this show logical structure and why actually all of the sudden I want to give you the information about this thing. So guys, show logical structure is an option which is available in Eclipse, and we can actually use that thing while we are debugging our code. And the reason why I am explaining you all these things today, because today I was actually going through the comment section of this particular video. So you remember I have a video in my channel called how HashMap works internally, and here I actually explained you everything by doing debugging. If I maximize my screen right now, you can see in this video I have created a map object here, and I was trying to insert few key value pair to my map object, and I had put a breakpoint here in the line number 12 and in the line number 10, and I'm just slowly debugging all these things, and I was explaining everything to you step by step by doing debugging. So that's good. So I know that right now you have a pretty good idea about the HashMap internal thing and what are all these property, what are all these variables, and why they are being used inside a map. I think I have explained everything to you step by step in my earlier video. If you are new to my channel and if you haven't watched this video, then I strongly recommend you to watch this one, and I'll give you the link in the description of this particular video. Now let's come to the topic. When I was actually going through the comment section of this particular video, I found a lot of comments saying that, hey, your variable view, you can see while I am switching to my debug perspective, I get two views here. One is variable view, one is breakpoints, right? So I'm getting few comments like your variable view and my variables view is not matching. So let's look at few comments right here. Okay, so one of the comment that I got here is, I don't know why I cannot see the threshold, size, load factor and table variables in my debugging IDE. I can only see the map and its entries. Now Shashi is asking here, hey bro, in my debugging view, I'm not getting variable view as like you are getting. Now another comment from Avinash here, I tried the same program in my Eclipse, but I have installed Eclipse Luna in my PC. But I didn't see all the options while debugging the same program like table and threshold properties in my system. So could you please suggest me which Eclipse version you are using? Okay, Avinash, this is not a Eclipse version issue. And here another question from Srinivas, and he is saying that I'm doing practical on my system to see the flow. I have applied the breakpoint on a map and used F6. And then it is now showing me the load factor, size, threshold, blah, blah, blah in the variable section. Yep, I can understand the problems in Nivas. We're going to sort it out in this particular video. To explain you the things, what is actually going on right here, I have created a class here called HashMap demo. And in this class, let me create a main method. Inside this main method, first of all, let me create an array list. Let me say array list of integer. I'll say list equal to new array list. Now let me add few elements to my array list. Let's say 10. Let me copy this. I'm going to paste it for a few times and I'll change the value for this. And now actually I'll try to print out this list. If I'm going to run this particular program, you can see I get all the numbers here that I have entered here in this particular list. No worries. So right now I'll give a breakpoint here in the line number 14. I'll do a right click. I'll go to debug as and debug as Java application. Cool. So this is how it looks right now, right? I have my code here, and here I have my variables section. Here is my expression section, and here is my breakpoint section. I'm going to particularly focus on this variable section right now. In the variable section, I have two different variables. One is args, one is list. That's because I have args here and I have list here. If I'm going to expand this list here, let me drag it down. So here you can see in my list object, this list object I have created here. So inside my list object, I have element data, I have mode count, and I have size. So what is this element data, what is this mode count, and what is this size? So let's say if I'm a fresher, if I'm pretty new to Java, and I never open the source code of ArrayList class, then I never know what is these variables and why they're getting used, right? So if you right now, if you go to the ArrayList class source code, if I'll do control click, if you come down, you can see you have element data here. This element data is actually an object array. So this element data is basically the base array for your array list. This is actually the variable which is storing all the elements that you are entering to your array list, right? And if you are coming a little down, you have your size variable here, which is of private type. Now see here, we have element data here, size here, correct? And all these are variables. Obviously, when we create an object of a particular class, all the non-static variables will be copied to this particular object, correct? So now let me close this ArrayList.class and let me drag it up. Okay, so now let's see what's going on here. So I have created my list object. So far, till line number 13, I have inserted 4 elements, right? So if I'll go to my element data right now, I already told you element data is my base array, which is actually storing all the elements that I'm inserting to my array list. This array list is basically using a array behind the scene, right? And that array is element data. And I already told you that array list is using a growable array or a dynamic array internally, right? So this is that array. Okay, but that doesn't matter. Right now, as you are a very smart guy, right? You know what does this element data means. You know this is the base array. You know what is this size means. You know why the size is 4, because I have inserted 4 elements to my list so far. That's why the size is 4. If I'm going to execute the line number 14, let me do F6. Now the size became 5. And in the element data, I have 5 elements right here. That's cool. But let's say I'm a fresher, right? I do not know about all this property. Let's say I have a defect right now. I have a bug to fix. And I want to see what are the elements which is getting inserted to my list in a very clean view. If I want to do that, I will come here and I will hit this icon right here which says show logical structure. Let me click this and you will see something funny here. Cool. So right now we get a very clean view here and it says, okay, in your list right now we have 5 elements, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all these indexes has elements. If I am going to open this 0th element, it has a value of 10. If I want to see what is there inside the first index, this is the value. This is the value in the second index. All these things are pretty nice and clear right now. I can actually go to each of the index and can open it and can see it. What is the value there inside this particular index? And these are actually the value that I have inserted right here. And actually, I'm getting a pretty clean view here. If I compare to the last one. If I do it again, here inside this list I have element data, and inside this element data I have all these indexes. I have indexes up to 9, 0 to 9 is 10, because basically whenever we create an array list object, the base array size will be 10, right? That's a default size. Right. So all these things, here the view is not that clean. I have to understand what is the element data, then I can actually access which is there inside my indexes. But if I click here, I am actually seeing all my values right here, pretty clean, pretty straightforward, and I can happily go to an index and I can access it. Let me go back to my Java perspective right now. Let me hit F8 to execute this particular program. Okay. Now let me hit Command N or Control N and I'll create a new class right here. And let's say my class name is Java Dev. I'll hit Finish. I get a new class here. Let's say in this class I have 2 variables. Let's say string dev name and string country. And I have string years of experience. So right now, to initialize all these variables, I'll use a constructor here. So I'll go to source, generate constructor using fields, and I'll do generate. Cool, I get a constructor here as well. Let me do Command S to save everything. Let me go to my HashMap demo class. And right now, let me create a new list object. So this time I'll write ArrayList, and I'll write my custom class name here, Java Dev, and I'll write Java Devs equal to new ArrayList. So now let me create few Java developers object and let me insert all those objects to my collection. So I will say here Java devs dot add, and I'll create an object here itself. I'll say new Java dev, and the developer name, let's say Avilash, and the country is India, and the year of experience, let's say fresher. I want to be a fresher again. Cool. I'm going to copy this line and I'm going to paste it for a few times. And let me add few different objects here. So right now let me do a sysout. Let's say sysout. And let me say here Java devs. I want to print my list object that I have created right here. So let me format this code by hitting Command Shift F, Command S to save everything. And now let me run my code. Okay, so here I have actually created 5 number of Java developer object on the fly, and I have added them to my Java devs collection, and it has actually 5 number of objects here, correct? Okay, so I have not overridden the toString, so that's why I'm getting my object reference, not the object content. That's good. So I can see the content by putting a breakpoint here in the line number 23. Let's say I'm putting a breakpoint, and I'm going to debug my application and I want to see how my list is look like. So I'll go to debug as and Java application. Okay, so right now first I have a breakpoint here in the line number 14 for the first list, and I have also a breakpoint here in the line number 23, okay, for this list. So first of all, let me bypass this particular line number 14 by hitting F8. Okay, now my breakpoint is here in the line number 23, so I should be getting my Java devs object here. Okay, so if I go to my Java devs object, right now how many elements are there inside my Java devs object? Let me open this. The size is 4, because here line number 23 I haven't execute. Let me do a F6 so that I can go to the next line, and here you can see I have 5 number of objects right now. And if I will go to my element data, so I can see that my index number 0 is containing a Java dev object, and it has country information, dev information, and year of experience information for Abhilash. And similarly for first index, I have Abhishek here, and he's from UK, and his year of experience is 10 years, right? So this is how I have all my information stored in my indexes. Cool. But right now let me collapse everything. Okay, and now let me click on show logical structure and see how easy it is right now to read our information, right? So I'll go to Java devs. So I have only inserted 5 number of developers. I have only inserted 5 objects here. So 0 to 4 is 5. If I'll go to 0, I'll get my information. If I go to 1, I'll get my information. So it's only data, right? No extra field, no extra properties. So if I'm debugging and if I'm finding a bug, this view actually can give me a clear-cut visual so that I can go ahead and I can find my issue very easily, right? Without having much information, how my collection is actually getting stored behind the scene, what is element data, and what are the other stuff there inside my ArrayList class. I don't know anything, but okay, no problem. I'll go to show logical structure view. These are the 5 objects that I want to store, and here are these. For a map also, it's actually the same thing. If I'm actually creating a map here, let me have some white spaces and let me create a map here. Let's say map. Let's say I'll take an integer and Java dev. Java dev is my custom class. So I'll say Java dev map equal to new HashMap. Cool. So I have a Java dev map created here. So I have key value pair as integer and Java dev. Let's say this integer is actually the roll number or the employee number, and the Java dev is actually the developer object. Okay, so right now I can actually enter few key value pair to my map. Let's say I have already created few Java developer object right here. So let me copy all this object. So what I can do here, I'll hit Alt Command A, and I can actually copy here multiple lines. I can copy this much. Command C to copy. I'll come here, I will go down and I'll do Command V to paste all this line, and here I'll do map.put. So I'll click here, I'll do shift down, 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 and here you can write what is my map object, Java dev map, right? Dot put, and after put I can write 1 comma my object name. Now let me come here and let me change all this object value. Let's say 2. One is 4 and this one is 5. Okay, so I have 5 different map object here, and after this I can do sysout and I can write Java dev map. Okay, I'm just printing my map object, that's it. Okay, so right now let me give a breakpoint here in the line number 37. Let me do right click and debug as Java application. I'll switch, and now let's see what's happening here. My first breakpoint here in the line number 16, then in the line number 37 I want to come, right? So let me do F8, let me do again F8. Okay, so I am here in the line number 37, and you can see I have a list object created, a Java devs object created, because Java dev is another object that I have created for my list, and then my map object is Java dev map. So this is my Java dev map object. If I come here, open this, now this is the view that you are getting, correct? I have 5 different objects entered to my map, and that's how they have been arranged from 0 to index number 4. Okay. But if you actually want to see the table view, right, the way I have explained you in my HashMap video, just like this, right, if you want to see all this property, entry set, key set, load factor, mode count, table, what you can do, you can just toggle this view, and there you go. Right now you get your entry set, key set, load factor. Right now if you go to your table, the way we understood the concept, same concept here only, right? If you see here in the table, you have 16 number of buckets created, 0 to 15 is 16, so HashMap default value is 16, right? So right now we have value entered for the first bucket, second bucket, third bucket, fourth bucket, and fifth bucket, because right now I think we have 5 number of objects inserted to our map, and probably there are no hash collision, so all 5 objects goes to different buckets, and that's how it works. Okay, so you can just experience the thing. When you are actually opening a map object, we're getting entry set, key set, load factor, mode count, size, and table. Table is the one we care the most. Table is the one where our data is getting stored. If I'll go to the table, let me drag this down. Okay, inside our table, we have 16 number of buckets. If I'll go to the first bucket here, we have 4 things inside the table: hash, key, next, and value. I already told you how the hash is getting calculated and what we mean by next. Okay, so key and the value, this is what we care for. Key, this is what we have inserted. The key is 1, and the value here is containing a Java dev object, and this object had 3 properties: country, dev name, and years of experience. So see the hierarchy here: value, key, these 2 things are there inside the bucket, and this bucket is inside the table, and this table is inside the map object. So here is the hierarchy, and I think it is pretty complex whenever you are trying to finding a issue. All this unnecessary stuff like hash, next, all these things, you don't care much whenever you are trying to debug the thing. This is pretty good while you're trying to understand the internal thing, but whenever you are working, nobody cares for this, right? You don't need to understand how the things are working internally whenever you're just trying to fix a bug. Obviously, you need to understand that. Don't judge me by this line, but see the complexity right here. But simply, if I toggle here, now see the Java dev map. This is my map object. In my map object right now, there are 5 elements. If I'll go to the 0th bucket, I have a key and value here, and the next and hash goes away from this particular bucket. So it's just giving us a very simple view to understand, and it is pretty nice to read. If I'll collapse everything, so it goes like this. This map has a node. In the 0th bucket, we have key and value. The key is 1 right here. If you open up the key, it is 1, and the value is actually a Java dev object, and if you open up the value, we have these 3 properties. Pretty nice, pretty simple, and pretty straightforward. You just have to switch by hitting this button, show logical structure. Actually, whenever I debug my code, whenever I get a defect in my office, or whenever I'm working in a project and I get defect, most of the time I choose to see like this, so that I'll get a very clean view here, and I can go here and I can inspect whatever I'm looking for in a very clean way, right? I don't need to be messed up by looking at a lot of properties which is there inside my HashMap class. Hope it makes sense. So that's it. So that's it for the video. I actually want to make a quick video, but see how long I dragged. Actually, I never drag, guys. Whatever in my mind, I want to give you all those information. That's why the videos gets longer, okay? And before you ask me in the comment section that where are the Spring MVC videos? Where are the Spring videos? I want to show you something. See here, I'm not lying, I'm editing it. Okay, so videos are already been recorded. Right now I'm actually editing the videos, and hopefully I'll be able to publish it by the next week for sure. So I'll see you in the next week. Till then, bye bye and take care and happy coding.